If you are someone into the anime/manga scene, more than likely you collect something involving that type of product. You could collect manga, which honestly is a huge dedication, especially if you want to collect something that has many volumes, and that's me for One Piece. I can't bring myself to start collecting it because that would involve me essentially getting over 100 volumes, and I need to find space for all of that. When I get a bigger place, I definitely will one day think of the possibility of collecting all those volumes. But if you aren't a manga collecting type of guy, then you might be into figures. I personally think figures are an even bigger dedication and investment, because if you think finding space for manga is an issue, then you have an even harder time finding space for not just the figures themselves, but their boxes as well. Anyone that collects figures knows that whatever you do not throw away the box. If for whatever reason you do not want the figure anymore, you can always sell it for an even higher price than what you bought it as. But if you get rid of the box, you officially lost like 70 to 80% of its potential value. But figures and manga aside, I've seen people collect merchandise like pins, acrylic stands, t-shirts, posters, CDs, DVDs, or Blu-rays. The thing that I go crazy on collecting is art books. If there's an anime or manga or artist in general that I like, I quickly check if they have an art book, and if they do, I add it to the list of art books that I eventually need to get. And if they don't have one, I make sure that I keep them on my radar so that when they do drop one eventually, I'll be ready. Now, I follow a whole bunch of artists on Twitter, Instagram, ArtStation, etc, etc, but one particular artist who was on my radar that dropped an art book a while ago was JUN. I've had this artist on my radar for a good while due to the motif of drawing beautiful women eating food, which was interesting to me. That and I'm sort of a simple guy. If I see good stuff, I go and see if they got an art book, and lo and behold, he had one. JUN is an artist that I mainly know of being in the Twitter, Instagram space. In 2019, JUN started using the hashtag Tabegirl for these illustrations of girls eating, and soon enough, it became a movement on Twitter. Now, according to his art book, the meaning and origin of the word Tabegirl is a gluttonous fantasy that started around the simple theme of girls who want to eat more and more. It's a series of illustrations focused on main characters who are sisters that steal and are stolen from in the war of the dinner table. Something those of you who have siblings will have experienced at least once. So, now that you guys know the gist of the Tabegirl concept, we can start dissecting these pieces. One thing that I could point out is that he usually pairs his illustrations in a before and after sequence. For example, here are the siblings getting ready to eat their food, and here they are finished. Here's one where she's grabbing a chunk of meat, and right after where she's eating it. You can find a couple of these illustrations in his art book or in his social media outlets. And if it wasn't already obvious, he draws a lot of his women absolutely stacked. But honestly, that is the beauty of art. You can make creations that are depicted to be eating what seems to be a caloric surplus of food, but still draw them beautifully as if they have the metabolism of the Flash. But make no mistake, despite JUN drawing a lot of these women with their cleavage showing or their assets on display or in just in scantily clad clothing, he does not draw anything that's NSFW. And you know what, I respect that, as it would be very easy to draw straight up porn when the subject matter is centered around drawing sexy women eating food. But honestly, I think it makes the whole subject matter a lot more interesting. If these women were just straight up naked, it might have just came off a bit dull or tacky. And besides, comic book artist Adam Hughes puts it best when he said that there's something a lot more alluring to drawing a clothed woman as opposed to just drawing them straight up naked. But let's move away from titties for just a moment and let's appreciate how he draws and renders the food these women are eating. He draws katsu, pizza, burgers, hot dogs, ramen, and even KBBQ. And let's look at this piece a bit closer. JUN included everything you'd see when going to KBBQ, and as someone that has a lot of experience with that, it's pretty damn accurate. We have the ventilation exhaust, the scissors you use to cut the meat, the lettuce you use as a wrap as demonstrated by the character, soju, and even tteokbokki or rice cakes, assuming I said that correctly. There are some illustrations where JUN doesn't add a background and it's just a void with a table and a chair, but I can imagine a good deal of scene studying would be required for the more detailed illustrations that require a deeper understanding of the setting. You aren't going to see a pair of chopsticks while eating a thick slab of steak, but salt and pepper on the side are really good props to consider while illustrating a piece like this. But of course, he does not only do illustrations dealing with the subject matter of food. He can also do simple pinup style illustrations like this bunny girl piece. Bunny girl illustrations are like Twitter/Instagram artists' bread and butter. That and drawing women in this sweater, or just putting them in an office lady outfit. But again, he could do a bit more fleshed out pieces with a full background like these two. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the subject matter, but let's go a bit more into JUN's rendering. In the interview section towards the back of his art book, he says that when he was an illustrator for work, he used Photoshop, everyone's favorite industry standard drawing software. But ever since he became a full-time freelance illustrator, he's been using Clip Studio, then he moved on to Procreate, which is honestly my favorite drawing software to this day. I'm sorry, but I'm so beyond paying for subscription services. Procreate also has the capability of recording your processes, so you can see a couple of JUN's time lapses on Twitter or on Instagram. He seems to start a lot of his illustrations with a very rough sketch. At times it almost looks like a low opacity soft soft edge brush of some sorts, and other times he'll use large and dark brush strokes and then use a soft edge eraser so he can go over those lines with a much sharper and thin brush to make more refined details. However, it doesn't look like he does line art, or rather, not line art in the sense that it's using a pen tool to make very smooth dark lines. It looks more like a very clean, refined sketch, and I think the reason he does that is because later in his illustration process, it looks like he just paints over a lot of his lines. And that's where he goes into greater depth when it comes to detail. For example, in this fan art piece with Power, despite the initial sketch not being the cleanest, he doesn't lightly erase some of the details either, because as he continues to render, he paints over those rough spots and conveys the folds not with lines, but with color and value. Notice that there aren't many lines, if any, in a lot of his final illustrations. And I'll be honest, while looking for material for this video, I'm just completely mesmerized by his illustration process and seeing it all come together. Like, look at this time-lapse of Mikasa from the Index franchise, or Railgun if you've seen that first. Like, look at this. This is the point in the illustration process where he decides to paint, and I really like this because as an illustrator myself, I begin coloring not when the lines are perfect, but when it's enough to where I could see the vision and direction of the piece. Overall, is it crazy to say that his illustrations are mainly eye-catching because of the women he draws? Well, maybe, but regardless of that, his artistic skill is there. You can tell that there is a level of mastery in the way he renders these pieces, and a really good attention to detail when illustrating scenes with particular foods and the environments that they would be in. If you liked any of the art you've seen on this video, I would definitely recommend looking at this artist. He has an Instagram and a Twitter if you want to follow him. I'm honestly surprised he doesn't have a Patreon or anything similar, considering I can easily see some people paying him monthly to see some behind the scenes work from him. And he of course has an art book that you should really pick up if you want to support him. I own the Japanese version, but there's also an English translated version out there too. Go and check this artist out. His art style and subject matter are so distinct that you cannot miss it. What is up, YouTube? Thank you so much for watching this video. JUN is a good example of taking a concept and really going far with it. There was another artist out there that I can't remember the name of, and he combined the concepts of maids and skating, which is also very entertaining to see. So for any future artists out there, take advantage of that. I actually have a concept personally in mind, but I'm not going to say it since I don't want anyone to take it. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching the video. I mentioned in the previous video that I've been gone for an entire month, like I think the entire month of April, now that I think about it, and I'm sorry I've been gone for so long. Life has been crazy, and I've been spending some time getting used to TikTok and uploading there. And yes, did make a TikTok. I do have an account. It's under the same name, Namakir, so if you want to check that out, go ahead and follow me there. It's been taking a lot of my time, and again, I've been spending the last month working on it, but I think I'm done there for now. I'm just gonna passively upload there as time goes on. So yeah, check me out there if you want, and please do the same with my other social media outlets like Twitter, Instagram, and especially Twitch. I have been streaming here and there with my friends, and it would be very cool to catch some of you guys there. And if you want to show further support, I also have a Patreon. You guys know the usual things. I ask you, like the video, comment on the video because I do read them, and more important, subscribe. And again, thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.